What is up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Video Nasties. Back here again with Wayne from Retro Horror. If you guys are watching over on his channel, I'm Dan from Reject Films. And if you're watching on his channel, you already know who he is. So, today we're doing Gestapo's Last Orgy, or I think it's actually, on some cases. But, anyways, a Nazi exploitation video nasty. And my first viewing of one of those, so pretty interesting. I'll let Retro talk about the synopsis as usual, and give you guys our thoughts on the film afterwards. So it's all you.
All right. Well, 1977's Gestapo's Last Orgy, an Italian film. So this film concerns the unlikely romance of a Jewish female prisoner, and her camp commandant. And basically it's Lisa Cohen. They meet up at the beginning of the film, and then the film is shot kind of in flashback mode at that point. Lisa Cohen goes through a series of basically attempts to degrade her, where they just torture her, and they try to break her spirit, and they are essentially, before they kill her, they just have this penetrating need. The commandant and his little female henchman, they're trying to break this girl's spirit, and they have a hard time doing that, I would say.
Yes, they do. Are we done with the synopsis? Sorry.
Yeah, it's a Nazi exploitation film with lots of TNA and lots of torture scenes. But at the end of the day, under the overarching element of the film, in my opinion, it's a romance. This is a romance set in a Nazi prison concentration camp.
Yeah, and based on the brief synopsis of IMDb, it's basically her getting her revenge on the guy. So it's like a romance with a kind of revenge twist to it.
It is, and I watched this. Call me a masochist. I watched this twice.
I will call you one.
I watched it twice. The first time I watched it, I was watching what I thought was an uncut version. I didn't pull out my Severin release. I watched the uncut version on, it was internet. And it turned out that was actually the cut film. And the cut film was just a disaster because it leaves all the technical problems, and you've got none of the torture that really kind of makes the film. And then I came back today and watched the uncut version, which is like 96 minutes, I think.
It's an hour and 35 minutes on the Severin release.
Yeah. And in that one, you really, not that I'm a big fan of torture. I mean, torture, torture for the sake of torture, it's not that. It's just that the torture is a key element in this girl's story, right. Her story arc. It's very important to have these torture elements because there's a point in the film, right, where she kind of has this aha moment. And I would say that is the moment where she has sex with the camp doctor. That she has
spoilers.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, she has a romantic interlude with this camp doctor that kind of turns her into this. All of a sudden, she has this need to live. And right. At that point, the film takes a whole different direction.
Yeah. Before that, she was just completely sexually abused and not loved or made love to, and then they actually experience real erotic, pleasure, and it awakens her senses and everything.
What do you think of that song? The overlaid
song?
The song,
yeah. I didn't mind the music in this. It's, for me, like the main issues with this whole film, as I messaged you as I was watching it, the way this movie's shot is fucking terrible. It is absolutely dog shit camera work.
Right.
And the music itself isn't terrible, but the way that they just abruptly stop the music, and then there's just like nothing, like the opening scene when she's getting out of the car, the music just stops, and then there's this like nothing. It's just it's edited. The sound editing is terrible.
The editing is really bad. There's a number of scenes that just kind of stop. I'm thinking specifically of the scene where this bizarre kind of scene where she's kind of going in slow motion. You know, I guess they're trying to do some kind of
Like
art.
she's in the hospital.
Yeah, she's in the hospital. She's actually contemplating suicide, I guess. And you know, it's done in really this slow motion, which doesn't work. They're trying to be artsy, and it just doesn't work. And then the music just fucking cuts off. I mean,
Right. Yeah, it doesn't fade out or anything. It
no.
stops.
Yeah, it just stops. So there's some really technical problems with this film. Let's
I
face
mean,
it.
hell, I even fade out my music on my intros. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah. And then they, you know, not to belabor this, but whoever shot the film, I don't know if this is the director's fault or the camera guy or whomever, but they really missed the boat. They're trying to do a lot of scenes where they've got an out of focus setting, and then they go in focus, almost like it's a change of scene. Like they're trying to take the place of editing with using this blurry camera that goes into focus as a change of the next scene, which I just don't think that works.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if they were trying to do that or if they were trying to do like some people do in their films where, you know, when it looks like this, you're supposed to feel a certain way. Then when it looks like this, you're supposed to feel something else. I didn't know if they were going for that kind of
Yeah.
deal with it or like it was like what you said.
Well, I'm thinking specifically like the notorious dinner scene. When they're done with the dinner scene and they cut to the camp commandant, it's blurry, right? And then he comes into focus. That was just like obviously they're trying to use that technique as a bypass to editing the film. They just here's a change of scene, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You know, sometimes they'll use it as okay, this is kind of a out there extreme scene. Now we're going to go into, you know, like ridiculous scene, kind of like the dinner scenes is like so over the top ridiculous, and now we're going to go into something a little more serious and a little more drama
Yeah.
um, type thing. But
How many let me just ask you, how many of these have you seen, Nazi exploitation?
first one.
Okay.
So
I was
but
looking.
there is that cool documentary on here. I did watch that. I did watch the like what was it,
Yeah,
like 35 40 minute
yeah,
documentary on Nazi exploitation.
the German PhD.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know where I was. I mean, when I went to school, I was thinking, how did I not know that you could get a PhD in Nazi exploitation films? If I'd have known that, I'd have had a whole different career path, man. I would have just been like, I would have jumped all over that.
I'm surprised you don't have a PhD in film anything, man.
I mean, little did we know you can get a PhD in Nazi exploitation films.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I like the way that guy talked too, though, man. I could tell he like just knew everything off the top of his head too. Like he wasn't going off any notes or anything. He just knew
right.
this shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, he obviously spent some time studying the genre, but so I've seen, I guess, 7 or 8 of these films, and
Right. Of course, the Ilsa ones are like the most popular ones, and
Ilsa, yeah, Franco did an Ilsa film. SS Experiment Camp, Love Camp 7 is like one of the first ones from the 60s, which is really kind of tame.
yeah.
The
I think that's
one,
like this one too, where it's only like a DVD release still or something on that Love Camp 7.
uh, actually, no, that's got a Blu-ray.
Does it?
Yeah, I'll show you when we're done here. But the Beast in Heat is the one I like. If you got that one with Severin,
Yeah, I did. I got that one
that one,
recently.
man.
Actually, this isn't even a Severin. This is an Intervision, but still,
Yeah,
same thing. But
yeah, it's an Intervision DVD. I mean, the problem with this one really needs some kind of this is kind of the center point of Nazi exploitation. Most people look to this one as the most gratuitous, and it really needs a Blu-ray treatment.
it does. It needs a better restoration. It's already kind of shot like crap. Just, with nothing you can do about it. But whatever elements they had to work with must have been absolutely terrible because the transfer's still not very good. It's like watching VHS for the most part. But I mean, you got lines going all the way down the screen. You got
Yeah.
like, it's not a good transfer at all.
No, it's not, but it definitely is the most hard hitting. I'm not going to say it's the most hard hitting Nazi exploitation because I think Beast and Heat's going to really shock you.
Well,
Uh,
I think the first like 20, 30 minutes of this was pretty extreme, and then after that, it kind of tamed up a little bit. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
um,
it did. It's I think the reason this one gets so much, well, the reason it ended up video nasty is probably because the story is very serious. It's not tongue in cheek,
no,
and they just flat out, the prisoners are Jews. Most of these Nazi exploitation films never really focus on the prisoners as Jews that we're going to like exterminate, but this one actually goes that mile. Just flat out calls them Jews.
yeah, I think the most extreme scenes in here, aside from the dinner table scene, which did you catch? Like, how was it when they're pouring the what is it, the cognac, that whatever it is, the
Cognac.
liquor on, yeah, the cognac on her. You see her breathing, right?
Right.
And then, but yet she gets caught on fire and there's no movement. Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
What's going
yeah.
on there?
Well, and thankfully they do it that way because I think if it was much more realistic, it would be really kind of Serbian filmish. I mean, there has to be an element of this that's ridiculous because if this subject matter is so serious to begin with, you don't really want to go Serbian film on this one.
And they don't really show them actually digging in and eating her. They just show the after effects, like
Mhm.
where I already forget everybody's name, where the main guy is just like stuffed and he's just like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know,
The camp
uh,
commandant. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Between that and the scene of being fed to the Dobermans, those are probably the two most extreme scenes in the movie.
See, now I didn't like that scene because I think this gets to the technical issues I have with the film. I thought the editing of that was the one of the poorest of the whole film was the editing of the
Mm-hmm.
dogs of killing her. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I'm just saying like the whole concept of it. Like I
oh
think those are the two most you
yeah,
know, hard hitting scenes as far as why it would be a video nasty, why, I mean, a chick's being fed to fucking dogs and a chick's being burned alive and eaten. I think those are the two toppers of the movie in general.
no, there's no doubt about that. Uh, there's just a lot of disturbing scenes in this film. I did go through and do a Joe Bob Briggs style listing. If you want to hear that.
Oh sure, why not? Let's do it.
I mean, we're already kind of. I mean, when did we do? From a spoiler perspective, you really can't talk about these without spoiling it to some extent. I mean, I'm not going to talk about the ending, but as far as
Right.
what you're going to see graphically, uh,
And there's not a lot of gore though. There really isn't. I
no,
mean, you have some of the women bleeding and things like that after the first big sex scene, blood going down their legs and things like that. But there's no real, it doesn't really show like penetration during that stuff. It doesn't show, anything that you can really see. I mean, you see it in your mind, but you don't really see it. Um,
yeah, it's just it affects you because of really the people's reactions. For example, like the female commander. She gets turned on watching these dogs eat this
yeah.
girl. So you've got scenes where people are being tortured or killed or eaten in some cases, and it's actually sexually turning on the guards, the Nazi
Mhm.
guys. So that's what's really kind of disturbing is kind of the reactions in these films, not the scene itself.
The one thing I wanted to cover real quick too is the whole thing they're trying to do is at first they want to use her for her skin because they collect things from prisoners like uh, certain tattoos or making gloves out of baby skin, skinning babies, newborn babies alive and
Right,
stuff to
right.
preserve that softness. That's why they select these certain women, and then they realize, hey, she's not even afraid of anything, and that's when they start the trying to break her process. Um,
Well, apparently there's some element of truth to this because the Nazis, I forget which Auschwitz, I think, was maybe the one where one of the commandants, which was a female, used human skin for lamps.
Right. That during that bonus feature on here, that's what he talks about. He says he doesn't know if it's true though. That's where like the Ilsa character came from, based off of that woman and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, well, they've got the lamps with the human skin. I've seen some, so that's actually kind of true. But I also think the Nazis had some kind of some occult type aspects to the movement. They
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And they thought they were just gods, and were above everybody and could do whatever they wanted to do and have whatever they wanted. One thing that really threw me off though too is, when was the outline story of this supposed to be taking place? Like when the two are at this place where everything happened, but now it's like rubble because they look about the same age, but yet everything is now gone.
right.
I'm kind of lost on that.
It's clearly after the war and after the prisoners have been released, and they've returned to this camp or the ruins of this camp, and now they're gonna through flashbacks relive the whole thing.
Yeah, it just seems like, man, it can't be that long of a time period because they look exactly the same age.
Yeah, well, that's obviously just a script.
It's all overgrown. The stuff's been rubble for years looking, and it's like,
yeah, and it looks like from them, the two characters, they're like maybe 30 or 60 days after the fact,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead with the Joe Bob Briggs breakdown.
All right, the Joe Bob Briggs breakdown. We've got one girl hanged upside down and fed to some really cute hamsters. We've got toe sucking, gratuitous toe sucking. We've got gratuitous boob groping. We've got gratuitous vagina inspections. We've got really gratuitous feces smearing. And we've got some fellatioing of a luger. We've got some human barbecue action. And we've got some kitty cannibalism. And we've got some naked lime pits sliding. Did you get that one where they were sliding the girls in the So that's my little list.
I thought that one was pretty cool though. That was pretty inventive and different from anything I've seen. I haven't seen a slide leading into a lime pit.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you what, Danielle Poggi, who plays Lisa, I think it's Poggi or Poggi, 2 G's and an I. She was pretty hot. I mean,
yeah, the top half could have been a little bit better, but overall, yeah.
You got me from when she's hanging up on the lime pit. You get a nice butt shot. She looked good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the thing with these is, you see a lot of below the waist, but you never really see anything because it's the 70s. So,
she was, as you would expect, apparently had serious regrets making this film. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. She says she was 20 years old when she did this and was a model, and the agency pushed her to do it, I guess, to get her name out there. So, but she's gone on to have a pretty extensive career. I looked her up. She's even had she's been acting right up into the 2020 and has got directorial credit. Yeah.
That's surprising. Yeah. I mean, like I say, the main thing about this movie is everything that goes on, like I've said, it isn't that extreme, like visually, but the acts are extreme. I know there's a scene in here where she's being whipped, like until the guy just can't even do it anymore. But yet you don't see any lashes on her. Like, so it's more of it's in your mind and the actions they're doing.
She's the best looking female prisoner. Lisa Cohen, I mean, always made up to the nines. Makeup is always perfect. Hair's in place. She doesn't look like anybody like she's being tortured at all. And actually, again, I have to say, that element of unrealism is important in this type of serious material. Otherwise, you're going to get Serbian film type stuff. I mean, so
Yeah.
I actually found that refreshing that we
Which
didn't.
that director hasn't been able to find any more work since Serbian film. So imagine
Well,
that.
this guy Caesar Cannavale, I think is his name.
Yeah, I looked up his filmography. He seemed like he did a few of this kind of movie, and
Well, he did some spaghetti westerns and he did a couple gialli.
yeah,
So he's not got a lot of credits, maybe less than 10. You know.
yeah. I mean, overall though, I by the end of this movie, I really liked it because I was really invested in her character, and like we say all the time, that's important. If you're not going to make a movie that's just a fun, so bad it's good movie, then at least be invested in the characters and the story. And I was invested in her character, especially like the scenes. I don't want to give everything away because I feel a lot of people probably haven't seen this one. Um, there's a scene where she has to kind of let somebody be taken away that she didn't really want to, but she had to for herself, like towards
Yeah,
the end of the movie. Um,
right.
that's a really like tough emotional scene. So there is some emotional stuff going on too.
Yeah, this film has the torture has a purpose because it's getting you to be compassionate about Lisa Cohen, and then there's the payoff with Lisa towards the end that So I think there's some purpose in the way this thing is. It's not just we're going to torture a bunch of girls, and put it on film. It actually had a purpose in that regard.
And again, not to give everything away, but there is a reason why she feels that she doesn't deserve to live, or why she doesn't feel anything, and then you find out the reason that she believes is not true. So
Right.
there is a backstory to why she is immune to like feeling pain or feeling fear of death or anything like that. And then when she finds out certain facts that she thought were facts were not,
Right.
and that gives her another reason to live as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, I think overall this is the kind of the centerpiece of a Nazi exploitation genre. This is the one that everybody turns to, and it's probably the best of the Nazi exploitations. Although technically, I don't think it's the best. And entertainment value wise, I think there's others that are just as good, like Beast and Heat. But yeah, this was a good one. Overall, I give it a 6 out of 10. I probably would give it a 7 out of 10 if there wasn't so many technical issues. There's a lot of technical issues with this one.
Yeah, this could have easily been a 7 or 8 out of 10 had the either cinematographer or director knowing how to shoot a damn film.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah. I just
always good characters. The acting is actually pretty decent.
the acting's fine.
Yeah.
I think the acting's fine all the way across the board. The Alma, who's the played Alma, the Italian actress that played the commandant's female henchman that did all the torturing, and she's the one that
she was good, man.
she was good, but she only did like 3 movies. I don't know what happened to her, but she was really good in this. Dark-haired brunette. She was hot too. She's good looking. Yeah, she was the one that
I
was
kept
like,
waiting for her to do something with her. I really thought it was coming here, and in the one scene when they're just like an inch apart from each other, I'm like, "Yep, here it is." No.
she's the one that gives all the female prisoners the short arm inspection, trying to see which one is on their period, the throat of the dog. Yeah, she was obviously getting off on that.
Oh yeah. I think she was just a sexual natured person in general. She didn't have a preference.
Yeah.
Whatever got her going, got her going. I mean, when she grabs the guy as she's getting the dogs during the dog scene too, like
Yeah. Well, they just portray all the camp commandants as sexual pervert deviants, basically.
Yeah, but you did have the one character, like we said, of the doctor who actually cared. Like at the beginning, he didn't even want to do everything they were telling him to do. He's like, she's fine. She doesn't need inspected, and they're forcing him to do this shit. And he actually had a good heart and everything.
Yeah, which is really the antithesis of reality, because apparently the Nazi doctors, you know, Joseph Mengele being the prime example, were, uh, I mean, just it's horrible. Some of the experiments they did on kids and humans is just terrible, terrible stuff.
And there was one guard that was, kind of against things too.
Yeah.
I mean, all the women in here actually looked pretty decent. There was a lot of good looking women in here. Of course, you had the hairy armpits and all that usually, but
Yeah,
uh,
you got the 70s hair going.
yeah, I mean, I think overall we sit about the same on this one. I mean, I think we both like it overall, but it could have definitely been better.
Yeah, I'm at a 6 out of 10 on this one. I
Yeah,
think this is I think this is, if you're into Nazi exploitation, this is a must own, you know, as far as your collection, you know. But and if you're not, and you're uncertain about Nazi exploitation, I would say this is the one to go to first to see if you even have an interest in it.
yeah, it's $15 on the Severance site. You might be able to find it cheaper, on a Facebook group or something, which I've never seen for sale in a Facebook group, probably because people don't want to put Nazi exploitation stuff up for sale. They don't know how to market it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's about it for this one. Unless you got anything else.
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah.
We got to pick the next one, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have the. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, I do have the list handy. Oh, what do we got? I mean, we try to keep these no longer than a half hour so we don't bore you guys. This was a actual band one, right? Section 1.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so let's go back to section 2.
We'll give Nazi exploitation a break. Let's don't pick beast.
Well, I'm really itching to break out that big beast edition of
Man,
Possession.
which one?
Of
The
Possession.
beast. Oh,
No,
Possession.
the big beast edition of Possession.
Oh, okay. Well, you
No,
want
we
to do
just
that?
did a Nazi exploitation film. We're not doing another one.
Possession's a really, really good film.
I've not seen it, and that edition is just so beautiful. I have to really get into it. So,
Well, that could be an hour-long video because there's a lot to talk about on that film. It's an
these are
amazing.
mostly first time watches for me. So,
Well, you picked a good one. That's going to be a really, really good film.
well, hell, we can't even show the cover of the movie.
We can't.
Boobs right on it.
Oh, let me find Love before we go. Let me find Love Camp 7 because I got the Blu-ray of that. Let me see here.
We'll both leave the camera at the same time. All right, we're just walking off set.
Love Camp 7.
Well, I guess they're drawn on. So, Everything okay, Retro?
Yeah.
Hope you guys are doing well. For those of you still watching,
I guess you're gonna have to. I can't find it, but
yeah,
there's a Blu-ray of it.
you might be right. I saw one.
I've rearranged all my stuff. Yeah, I can't. It's not right there at my fingertips.
So this is Possession, right? This here.
Yep, that's it. Isabella.
Trying to cover that up.
That's the tour de force performance from Isabella Adjani.
I just like to put my hands on the felty. All right. So yeah, I can finally dive into that. I've been so excited for it. I mean, we could do stuff like Evil Dead or Eaten Alive that people really know, Funhouse, things like that. But I think we should try to do the ones people aren't as familiar with first.
Right, I agree. A lot of the more known films actually ended up as Section 3s, like Texas Chainsaw was a video nasty, but it was a Section 3.
Because we all know that movie is not very violent at all.
No, it was just the Section 3s are just films that the cops are there. They're picking up some of these titles that have been prosecuted. Oh, well, there's Texas Chainsaw. I'll grab that one too. It was kind of like
the title's worse than the movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's Friday the 13th 1 and 2 or section 3s.
Yeah, and you see how tame those are by today's standards, at least. So.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us, guys. We appreciate you guys watching the series. I know, a lot of you watch over on Retro's channel, and then about the same amount watch on my channel. So hopefully it's a different group of people. But either way, we appreciate the support. You guys are awesome, and
thanks for watching.
Enjoy doing this.
All right.
Yep. See y'all next time.
See ya.